Hello, and welcome once again to the Dental Marketing Mastery Series. This podcast is brought to you by dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Incorporated. I'm Howie Horrocks, the founder of New Patients Incorporated. Along with me once again is my friend and partner and the president of New Patients Incorporated, Mark Dilatush. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to our podcast. This is Howie Horrocks, and I've got my good buddy Mark Dilatush on the other side of the line here, the other side of the country. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, Howie. How are you?
I'm good, man.
I just got back from Mexico.
Mexico, how was it?
It was warm.
Yeah. Unlike where you are now.
Unlike where I am now. It was very warm. It was very sunny. It was very breezy.
Oh, yeah.
There were the aroma of tanning oil was all over the place.
Yeah.
So,
and not to mention the margaritas and all that.
Margaritas and yeah, local. We call that local fare.
Local fare. There you go.
Yes. So Mexico, I'm sure misses me, but I have to get back to work.
Yeah. Let's talk about something that has come up recently, actually. Urban versus rural. And if your practice is located in rural or urban, it's got to be probably one or the other.
Well, it'll be good. It'll be good for people in tweener markets too.
Yeah,
tweeners. Yeah. Before we start, though, Howie and I are getting emails to our direct email addresses, which, by the way, markd@newpatientsinc.com. Howie's email address is whh@newpatientsinc.com. So if you ever do need to get a hold of us, you have our email addresses. But for these podcasts, we're getting requests for subject matter for us to cover through our through our work email addresses. So let's establish Josh, Josh, @newpatientsinc.com. That's the mailbag. Actually, you can go put a sign on his office, Howie. Mailbag. Yeah. Mailbag works here.
Yeah.
So Josh is going to assemble all the questions and categorize them, and if there's duplicates, because there's almost always duplicates. So, and then we'll prioritize them, and then we'll make new podcasts out of your own questions. So it's Josh @newpatientsinc.com is where you would email a request. So what's up? We're on urban versus rural.
Yeah. The different, first of all, are there differences in the marketing approach a practice might want to take? And what sort of avenues does each setting provide?
All right. So the first question is, are there differences? The answer is yes. But everybody needs to understand that even if there's two rural practices, there's going to be differences between their marketing plan as well. I don't think I've seen 100% identical marketing plans ever. That would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mathematically almost impossible to come out with an exact duplicate marketing plan for two different practices. So yes, rural to urban, absolutely there's differences. There's differences in the media types you would use. There's differences. The analysis is the same. You analyze the market area. You go out and you look for the top, let's say 40% of the available market, and you look to see how far out you have to go to reach them. When I say far out, I mean geographically.
Right.
Okay. So in a place like Redmond, Montana, you might have to go out 83 miles.
Yeah.
Okay. Really, seriously, to find, let's say 15,000 viable targets for a dental practice to promote to. In a place like Manhattan, you wouldn't even have to go 3/4 of a mile to find 15,000 people, right, to promote to. Now, there are definitely differences in the media types that work well urban versus rural versus urban. So let's start out with all the media types. Let's start out with what we always start out with, which is internal. Internal is going to work equally in urban settings as it will. We've seen no difference. The referral brochures we build, the in-office video loops, all the stuff that we build for our client practices that have to do with promoting the dentistry they provide to their existing patient base, there's no difference in how it works rural to urban. But that's normally where we start every client, is we make sure that they're putting a certain percentage of their budget in internal every month or every year. So once you go beyond internal promotion, you have to go external to the practice. The internet, the weight of the internet goes up the more urban you get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the importance of it.
Importance weight, right.
Yeah, right.
Actually, when we say importance rate, we mean the risk. The risk does not go up. The risk goes down. So this is kind of opposite. Let me back up a second. The more urban you go, the more you will invest in your internet strategy.
Yeah.
The middle America and rural, you're still going to invest in the internet. There's just not as many people searching for dental services using their phone or their computer as you think they are in Redmond, Montana. Okay. So it won't be as much of a priority there as it would be in, say, Manhattan. Okay. So yes, the answer is absolutely. There's a difference in the marketing plan. There's a difference in investment. There's a difference in risk. Direct mail. We do probably more direct mail than any other humans on the planet as it pertains to promoting dentistry. And we will tell you that the closer you get to a densely populated urban center, the less predictable mail gets. And we know the reason why, and this changes from market to market. So if you're in a big city, don't assume you shouldn't do mail. Have it analyzed first, okay? But we know the reason why is absentee owners of those homes, whether they're single families, condominiums, apartment buildings, what have you. Places like Manhattan have an astronomically high absentee owner rate. And they have people at the door, the doorman in many of these buildings, who are told by the occupants, just throw everything away that's not first class, right? So in an urban center like Manhattan, our marketing plans would change dramatically. In anywhere else, well, maybe I would say we've had negative experiences with mail in Manhattan. I'm going to say downtown financial district of San Francisco. There are places that we've had our expectations weren't met when the mail dropped in those areas. We trace it back to absentee owners. If the absentee owner rate, or if the owner rate is above 60%, you're fine. But if you're in an area that's below 60%, you're probably going to run into the same issue with no matter what mail you throw out there. Because many of these people have the buildings, they just tell them to throw everything away that it's not in an envelope. So anyway, so yes, in that manner, mail changes. On the internet side, because we did internal, we did mail, and we're talking about the internet. Those are the three foundation corners of, that's it. That's your foundation, your marketing foundation for your practice. Well, from the internet standpoint, would I be as excited to put online scheduling on Dr. Smith's website in Redmond, Montana, as I would if they were here in central New Jersey? No. Okay, I'm much more excited knowing that the website is going to get whatever 200 or 300 unique views a month anyway, right? Rather than a website that's going to get 20 unique views a month. Okay. So yeah, so almost everything changes in a marketing plan from rural to urban. Now, the majority of dentists who are listening to this are somewhere in between. They don't live in Redmond and they don't live in Manhattan.
Right.
They live in hub spoke town America, basically. And what they're promoting to is probably on average a 4.5 to 6.5 mile radius around their practice. And likely what they should do is allocate 10% of their annual marketing budget to internal, 25, maybe 30% to online, and probably the remainder to properly targeted offline promotion to drive online traffic, just like every other company in the world does. So that's where most of our listeners are. They're in that tweener zone. Okay. But there are the extremes, and marketing plans absolutely change urban to rural. You go to urban, remember, you may look and say, wow, it's only 3/4 of a mile to find 15,000 high value targets. Well, yeah, but there's 999 dentists in that 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, you're not the only one targeting them.
Right, exactly. And they've got, at lunchtime, they've got trucks going down Central Avenue with a gigantic sandwich billboard that's, says, call this number and get your teeth fixed now. Right. And you don't. Okay. So yeah, there's good news and bad news for the doctors in the urban centers. We would absolutely over allocate to the internet. They absolutely should be scheduling online on their website. They absolutely are all fighting for Google reviews, and the best ones. Okay, you're all in a big war in the urban centers of the country. I would not, unless the analysis came back and convinced me that it would be worth a shot, I would not do mail in a densely populated urban center with a high rate of renters. I just wouldn't do it. However, in Florida, where the snowbirds go, I absolutely would, and we do, increase the volume of mail during the months that the snowbirds arrive, somewhere, November, December, sometimes shortly after Christmas. I would double or triple the volume until April or May before they go back. So there's another change, and that's not necessarily urban versus rural. That's absentee renters and owners versus when they're actually there. So yeah, almost everything changes with almost every marketing plan that we build and implement. I'll tell you something else. Young dentists starting out, purchased practice versus long-standing 20-year practice who's tried this and tried that with their marketing. Every one of those marketing plans is going to be different, and largely not because of where their practice is located, but because of their available budget.
Right. Budget drives pretty much everything, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So people say, well, what would you do? And then we send them, well, here's what we would do. And then they kind of blow up. It's like, oh my God, why are you telling me this? Because that's what's going to work. Okay. You didn't say, tell me what I should do. Oh, and make it $35. You didn't ask me that. You said, what should I do? So, when we do marketing plans, we set them up. It's as if Howie and I own the practice. So if an urban dentist fills out a client survey at our website, and they fill out the 55 questions, and we build a marketing plan for them, and we say, okay, good news and bad news. Here it is. Here's the analysis. That's not such good news. Okay. There's 999 dentists in the next 3/4 of a mile. Sorry, but we didn't buy the practice you did, right? So we have to be the bearer of this bad news. But in the end, the doctor is getting exactly what Howie and I would do if we were in exactly that practice. That's exactly what we do with every marketing plan we build here, right? And
Yes.
they're all different. They're all. We have a doctor right now who's going to go through I guess Delta Dental is out there, pissing dentists off. That's what it seems like they're doing. They're sending out notices in certain states, right? So there's another reason why a marketing plan will be different. In that some states, it looks like Delta is forcing everyone to take on their lower tier fee schedule in order to be part of their program. And a lot of dentists are, hey, Dental Delta is half their practice, and they're wondering what the heck they're going to do next year.
Right. We're getting a lot of questions about transitioning out of insurance acceptance and how that's done. And
yeah, exactly. So there's another scenario. So,
yeah.
So, when we came up with this topic, or we were asked this topic, hey, what's the difference between urban and rural? We took it seriously because there is definitely differences. I mean, normally urban areas, here's another difference. In urban areas, you tend to have more man-made barriers to your market. Things like roads, interstates, traffic patterns. You might be in a downtown area that is absolutely a ghost town at 6:00 at night, right? Rural, you end up with a lot more natural barriers to your market. Things like oceans, lakes, rivers, and mountains, and tunnels. We get people from Pittsburgh who send us client surveys. I'm like, I have to look at the analysis report like 12 times just to make sure that the market is not across an interstate. Because I don't know if anybody listening to this ever traveled through Pittsburgh, but there's interstates all over the place, and the interstates are all connected through tunnels. And then there's they call it Three River Stadium for a reason, because there's three rivers. Okay, so there's mountains, tunnels, and rivers, and they're all bisecting the dental market. So, anyway, there's another reason.
There's on the rural side of things, there's also a big difference in available mediums. For example, you wouldn't necessarily even consider yellow pages in the urban area. I mean, that's just forget it. However, that's not the case in rural areas.
In some of them, yep.
In some of them, it's still a very viable medium. Also, you have the local newspaper.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah.
People still read it.
Absolutely.
In the urban areas especially. So whereas in the urban areas, you'd stay away from, the Seattle Times or, any of those big things. It'd be a big waste of money. But yeah, there's more opportunities in the rural area. Things are a little slower and slower to change. So you can take advantage of mediums that you couldn't in the urban areas.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there a difference between urban and rural marketing plans? The answer is yes. We've given you probably a dozen or so differences, but we also come back and we say, but there's differences in every marketing plan.
Right.
Right. And so as you listen to this series, it's really more important for you to understand why the differences are what they are, not necessarily the big category differences, right? I don't think anybody from Redmond, Montana really cares about a marketing plan for Dallas, Texas. What you want to know is what does it mean to you? What's the difference for me? That's me being you, the listener. Okay. And then I totally get it. Right. So hopefully what you got from this podcast and all of our podcasts, at least this is what we try to share, is why. Like, why are there differences in rural and urban, and what are they, and how can I apply them to my practice? If most of you are tweeners and you're not in the extreme, you're not in Redmond, Montana, and you're not in Manhattan, then you can take little bits and pieces of this podcast and apply them directly to your practice. That's our hope anyway. And if you have any questions, you send them to josh@newpatientsinc.com.
And you realize, Mark, that we're going to get a bunch of emails from Redmond, Montana now.
No, I know. I don't even know if Redmond, Montana exists. But yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you all for listening once again. And we're going to sign off now, but we look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We hope you've enjoyed our podcast today. You can find more podcasts on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, and iTunes. Also on our websites, dentalwebcontent.com and newpatientsinc.com.